All righty, so lesson 43, I've decided I will do the early algebra 1 type problems and work our way up to rational functions, graphing rational functions, the unit circle, so on and so forth. But I'm going to do 20 problems at a time now. I find that once I start doing 40 or 50 problems, brain gets a little tired, my age, and this will cut down on those late ending careless errors. When I say 2 + 2 = 5. I don't think that's true. So, going to do the early problems and talk about them a little bit more, since it's only 1 through 20 that I'm looking at. And so our very familiar first problem, writing the equation of a line, we wanted to get it down to 5 seconds or less. And if you do look at it, we do write y equals. So I got -5. And how do I get from -5 to 14? Well, I got to add 19. And the only way I can get -5 out of this is if I have a 0 here. And the only way I can get to 14 is if I have a 1 here. And I said this course is based on zeros and ones. Okay, so how do I turn -2 into 0? How do I turn -2 into 0? Well, I think I have to add 2. All right, so now that's part of the canvas. And what do we do with x values? We use them, we plug them into calculation. So I have one that I can use. And so I want this to become -5 plus 19 times 1. But when I plug in 12, I get -5 plus 19 times 14 when I plug in 12. So how do I turn the number 14 into a 1? Well, I can't use addition and subtraction. I've already used that operation. I think that's why we divide by 14, which gets us the answer, 19 over 14, x plus 2 minus 5. And that's more of a left to right orientation that you see in the text. Well, you don't see this in the textbooks. You don't see a x minus h plus k in the textbook. I wish you did. I wish you did. I wish you didn't see mx plus b as much as you do. But that's where we are. And keep this in mind. Keep this 0 and 1 stuff in mind here. Really keep it in mind, because all of the other functions that we're working with doing pretty much the same thing. With the cubic, the exponential, logarithmic, gets a little bit more complicated, but it's built upon the ability to get those graphs in 5 to 10 seconds is built upon this simple concept. So keep an eye out for it, especially when we get to the quadratic over there. All right, so said a little bit more. There's always something more to say about each calculation. And now that one is done. So we'll get that out of here. All right, 7i to the 49. Yes, I squared to an odd, I squared to an even. That's the crux of the problem. That's it. If you can figure out what that is, if you can figure out that this is -1 and that this is +1, then you can do these in 3 seconds or less. All right, so I squared, which is -1, if I do it 3 times, which is an odd number of multiplications of -1, I hope you can see that. And if I do it 4 times, I hope you can see that. So, can't talk about it too much more, but I can write 7i to the 49 as 7i squared 24 times I. I'll put a little dot there. That's even. It's this number that matters. That's even. So that means I'm going to get 7 times +1 times I. I've got 7i. And if you already knew that, then you did the problem in 3 seconds or less. All right, so that one's done. Probably ask for 3 coordinates. All right, I hope you can see what makes a 0 here. 4. And I hope you start to give a little more consideration to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 And that is what we call a change in X values. And that tells me that if that changes 2, then this changes by 2. That side of the table changes by 2. And if I put 4 in, I get 5 out. And since that goes with the X's, and that gets me the starting X value, this is all about the Y values. Sure looks like I'm subtracting 9. I think that's -4. I think that's -13. And of course, I don't fully remember what I had, but I certainly can recreate it. And let's put 8 in. 8 minus 4 is 4. That's a nice multiple of 2. 2 times -9 is -18 plus 5. And now we're having a little more meaning for what this is. A little deeper understanding is our goal. Seeing numbers, seeing how they work. I think you should be practicing these in your head. And if you were going to do it in your head, you might as well do the toughest step first. -8i times I. Okay, I think that's -8i squared. I think that's +8. I think you can do -8i squared and say +8. And then you look at 5 times 3 and you say 15. I think 15 plus 8, 23. Good practice for synaptic connectivity. The more times you do that, the smoother the road through the brain from one synapse to the other. So now all we have to do is the middle term. I see -24i. I see plus 5i. So I think -24 plus 5, I think is -19i. Now, if I'm on a test, or if I'm sending an answer key to a colleague, I'll write it out. But I think it's good practice to push your brain. Okay, but I'm only going to push it for 20 problems because I get stuck on the machine and can't lift anymore. Ooh, awful. Yep, that reminded me of somebody. All right, same thing. Do this in your head. -12x comes the other side, +12. So I'm dividing by 12. -52 comes to the other side, 50 and 20, 75. I think I'm done. I could have made a mistake. Well, let's practice by moving -12 to the other side. I'm not dividing by a negative. It's a little less to worry about. 52 plus 23 is 75. I'm liking my answer. Can you do this one in your head? Well, if I'm doing it, I'm measuring from -2. I know I got a plus minus, and I think it's 19/3. I just write the answer at this stage. But I hope you're starting to train your brain to be able to say, I'm adding 19, it's gone. I'm dividing by 3, it's gone. I'm taking the plus minus square root, gone. An addition of 2 becomes subtraction of 2. There's our answer. Let's put the rest of the problem. Okay, there's my answer. And that answer is going to be what? Plugged in for x, and then I'm going to add 2. I'm going to square, I'm going to subtract 19, and I'm going to multiply by 3. And we're going to look at what happens. 2's are gone. Plus minus squared is positive. I don't think I have to write a plus. Squaring a square root certainly undoes that. Looks like 3's cancel. And 19 minus 19 is your 0. And I hope you train your brain to do that. I don't think you have to do this. Do you really have to do that? I know everybody tells you to do it, but do you really have to? No. All right. All right, in your head, I'm seeing -35 and 12. 35 and 12 is 47. I think I'm going to get a 47 here. I think I'm going to get 20 of these minus 100. minus 40, minus 100, minus 40, so that comes this way. I think that's my answer. I'll just practice, but of course, with this many terms, I'm gonna take my time now. I'm gonna multiply by 20. There's minus 35x. There's the minus 100. There's the, ooh, I think I made a mistake here. There's 12x. No, I'm okay. 20 times minus 2 is minus 40. I'll bring this way. If I bring it that way, I've got 47x. I'm liking that. I'll bring this way, and that's 40 plus 40. I'm liking that. I'm liking my answer. But I pushed my brain a little bit. Still doing computations. When you're doing algebra, you're doing a lot of computations, and I just practiced a little computation. The more things you practice, the better you get at something. As long as you got a little decent technique. Writing as a product. Well, this sum and difference can be written as 5x times x. That's got to be true. There's only one way to get the number 3. It's either multiplying by 1 or 3. Well, whatever you think you had, it's 5 times bigger. And 3 times 5 is 15. I don't think that takes me anywhere near the number 2. So my brain says, let's leave the 1 here and let's leave the 3 here. And then I can see 5 and 3 are 2 apart. I want the positive, so I want the positive to outweigh the negative. That's what you got to do. And you can only get good at factoring by factoring, by performing that calculation on a variety of problems. And if you're weak on factoring, I strongly suggest you go onto the internet, you find a worksheet with factoring with coefficients other than 1, and you practice. Now, we're not doing more of that because this is a higher level class, but we're trying to make sure you don't have gaps, because if you got gaps, you can't go forward. So if you're past Algebra 1, and that's hard for you, you need to get online and you need to take at least 1 or 2 nights of factoring 20 problems. Get some practice. Oh, I'm giving a heck of a lecture here. All right, so just want to make sure that we talk about the function f of x, which tells me to take something, which is exactly what that letter stands for in Arabic. The letter x means the word something in Arabic. So we want something to go here. Oh, I told you what to put there, -3. So we're going to take -3 and we're going to multiply it by -2 and we're going to add 7 and we're going to get an answer of 13. Hopefully that's a piece of cake. But it's going to help us understand this problem. That conversation is going to help us be able to do this. So that's done. Now, f of x, well, that's the calculation. And I want that calculation to equal -5/7. So I'm going to move the division to this side. Minus 14x plus 49 equals -5. I don't like dividing by a negative. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to add 5 to this side, which is 54. I'm going to divide by 2, which is 27 equals 7x. And therefore, 27/7 is our number if I didn't make a careless error. All right, so this is called a composite. And I just erased. Yeah, that was what f of x was. Got to get in the habit of not doing that erasure when I've got something like this. So that's gone. Well, this is an input. And what does the f function tell me to do? Tells me to do that. And what am I going to drop in? Some number -1. And if I multiply that out, yeah, I think I'm going to get -2x plus 2 plus 7. Sure looks like I get -2x plus 9. That means I did this and got that. Well, now I got to do this again. So what am I going to do with this new number? I'm going to multiply it by -2, and I'm going to add 7. And that's what's going on conceptually. So that's 4x minus 18 plus 7 is -11. That's your answer to this, f of, and that could have been written this way. which I prefer, f of x minus 1. I prefer it written that way. But your SATs write it the other way. I think that's a true statement on my part. All right, so let's get an approximate answer here before we even do any work. From previous lesson sets, ax minus by equals c, a subtraction is actually something that's increasing. And something that is a plus is actually decreasing. Now, at what rate? Well, I can see my y-intercept is 0, 4. So let's just put a 0, 4 there. And then let's actually get the slope. What the heck? Why not? So that number doesn't matter. It's the interplay of this and this. And if I want to get y alone, I think if I put the 3y on this side, I'm dividing 5 by 3, which means that I'm going over 3 and up 5. So over 3 units, up 5 gives me something like that. All right, and doing the same thing here, minus 7/4. Let's call this 0 minus 7/4. And I put that in a bad spot because I know I'm decreasing. So 0 minus 7/4. And I've got a 1 to 4 ratio. If I bring the x to the other side, it's going to be a -1. Negative x on the other side. So -1 to 4. Down 1/4. Down 1/4 looks like that. All right. So it looks to me that I'm a little to the left of 0 and a little below 4, but certainly above that. So I'm looking for an answer like, I don't know, -1 comma 3, something like that. That is where I appear, that vicinity. Let's find out what it actually is. I can cancel the x's by multiplying by -5. So I'm going to divide by 23, change these to the other side, but let's have at it. Let's multiply this by -5. Hopefully you can see that cancels. So now I've got minus 3y minus 20y. Add that up, I got minus 23y. Minus 5 times minus 7 is 35. 35 minus 10 is 25. And another 2 is 23. So my y value was 1, was -1. That's further down than I thought it would be. But that's okay. I'm still in the right vicinity. And my x's now that I have -1, well, I'll plug it in here. So that's -4, -7. Looks like it has to be -3. All right, so I would have liked to have gone back and sketched again to see if I could have done a better job. But I believe that I'm in quadrant 3. Based on what I saw, I can believe that. Down 1/4. I went up 1, didn't I? That's what threw me off. Yeah, I went up 1. Yeah, that was my mistake. Okay, I learned something from that. Being more careful. And I wasn't going to erase those, and I just did. So repetition's my friend. If I do 20 problems again, hopefully I'll get a little better at not erasing this before I get there. And you want to be able to do this in your head. You want to be able to do it that quickly. So go ahead and practice. All right, so write this as a product. Write that as a product. Well, take what's given. Take what's given. You can only get a negative middle term and a positive end term with a minus minus. And so we're looking at two numbers that multiply out to be 4 and add up to -5. I think it's -1 times -4. I think it's -1 plus -4. I think that's this. Now I can erase that. I'm almost done with 20. I like to do columns. Minus 6x to the 5th. Minus 21x to the 4th. Minus 8x to the 4th. I'll put that in the x to the 4th column. Plus 10x squared. I think it's easier to keep track of things this way. Minus 6x5. Minus 29x4. Plus 10x squared. Okay. It takes care of that. All right, you do this in your head. 7 minus 3x minus 2 squared. Just write your answer. What are you going to get for your first term? I think I'm going to get x squared times minus 3. What are you going to get when you binomial square that? You're going to get minus 4x. And I think minus 4x times minus 3 is positive 12x. I think you can do that in your head. And then I think you're going to square this to get 4 times negative 3 is negative 12 plus 7, I think is minus 5. Let's put the number 3 in. 3 minus 2, 1 squared, 1. 7 minus 3, 4. 3 gets me 4. Let's say we're on a final exam. We want to make sure we didn't make a careless error. Then over here, a 3 better get us a 4. Let's try it. Minus 27 plus 36 minus 5, which is 31. 31 minus 27, positive 4. I move on. P of x, we want to find the maximum. Well, I know that's true. Cup shape down. And I know 12 divided by negative 6 is minus b over 2a. So that's minus 2. And if I drop a minus 2 in, I get 24. So that better be minus 12. Plus 24 plus 3. I'll check it. It is. So I know that's right because it's 2 to 1 and opposite. So that's simply 12 plus 3 is 15. And that is my max. The range of this, y value is less than or equal to 15. What's the biggest y value? Appears to be 15. Of course, once I have that, I got the roots and everything else right at my fingertips. All right, so what do we have here? We have an inverse. All right, so what's the first step of writing inverses? Well, you need to know that that's y equals 2x to the 5th plus 7. And then what do? You change your x's and your y's. And then you solve for y. Didn't I eventually set this thing equal to x? So why can't I just do that now? And do what? Subtract 7. Divide by 2. And do the inverse of x to the 5th, which is the 5th root of x. And let's call that the inverse. How do I check it if I'm on a final exam? I pick an easy number. I'll take 2. 32 times 2, 64 plus 7 is 71. If a 71 over here doesn't come out as a 2, I'm cooked. What's 71 minus 7? I believe that's 64. What's 64 divided by 2? I believe that's the 5th root of 32, which I think is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. It looks like the 5th root of 32 is 2, and that's what I started with over here. So it looks like I'm done. All right, now I'll challenge you. Start your watch. Nobody wears watches anymore. Well, some people wear watches still. 30 seconds. The goal here is to give me the vertex and the roots of this function. So when you're ready, copy down the problem, have a go, and then I'll have a go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, go. Minus 30 divided by 30, minus 1. If I put a minus 1, I get minus 15 plus 30. I know that's the right number. So that's 15 and 25, 15 and 25. Oh, God, I hope I didn't make a mistake here. Minus 1, I did. Minus 30, positive 15. Minus 30 and 15, ooh, I'm going to be in trouble here, is 10. So that's 10. So therefore, I know my roots are negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 10 cup shape up. Therefore, it's imaginary. And so then it's 10 divided by 15, which is 1/2. Well, 2/3, sorry, 2/3. I don't think I came in under 30. I think I butchered that. I'm disappointed to end the video on such a sour note. There, that's the sour note. All right, we're done. Another 20 problems coming your way. Hopefully no careless errors there, I hope. Beautiful day out here. I don't have to say safe and warm anymore. I have to say stay safe. It's nice and warm now. Toodaloo.